G'day and welcome back to the Hidden Why podcast. This is episode 1131. I'm your host, Lee Martinuzzi, and joining me today is JD Tremblay. We're discussing his book, Hungry for More in Life. He's a passionate advocate for men's health and personal growth, and he's also a well-known endurance triathlete. He's one of three in the world to have completed Epicdeca, which is a grueling test of physical and mental endurance. And he talks to us about he's always been into sport, but why he pushed himself in triathlons and making such a name for himself in that particular field, and how he feels everyone can get to a breaking point, including himself, and why he's passionate about men's health. And men's health is really important. I think that's why I love this interview today, because the more conversations like this we can have, the more courage it'll give men out there to put their hand up when they need help. And I see it all around us. I believe all of us at some point in life will go through downtimes, depression, and we need to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, we can't have the mentors, role models, the tools to help us overcome that. So I think that's what's really powerful about this conversation. Now, I will apologize in advance. The audio quality of this conversation may not be perfect. I think JD just got back from a run and was sitting in his car on his phone doing the interview, but still an enjoyable conversation. So let's chat at the other end, guys. Enjoy this one with JD Tremblay. All right, welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. We've got JD Tremblay on the line here, sitting in his car. He looks like he's about to go for a big run or something.
Yeah, just came back from it.
So tell us, mate, you're an athlete, really. You've done some significant feats in your time, but military background, where did it all begin?
It all began, when I was a child. I always loved to help others, assist others in everything they do. And then I was always very active in all sorts of sports. And then I looked for a sport that would not only reach one discipline, but many disciplines. And so I stumbled upon triathlon, and since then I've been loving it ever since.
What age did you start doing triathlons?
I started later in life, probably 27, I think. Right. 26, 27. Yeah, I was very, very late.
Okay. But always been athletic, into sports?
Always, yes. I did a lot of mixed martial art, all sorts of discipline in that sense, boxing and judo, Muay Thai, and I did soccer, a lot of sports, but always being competitive and learning something new. But I really love triathlon because when you get injured with one sport, then you can do another. So At one time my foot was hurting, so I just went swimming. Right. And if your back or the bottom of your back is hurting, well, cycling sometimes would help, depending on which part of the muscle is tense. And then I would always switch back and forth on which sport I would be doing. So
what does a regular day look like for you as far as your physical routine?
I wake up sometime very late. I don't believe in waking up exactly at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. Yeah. I believe in sleep. Sleeping is one of the best advice I can give anyone. I think that we are an under-recovered. We don't have athletes that train too much and overtrain. I think we have athletes that don't recover enough. Okay. And we have people that don't recover enough. So I wake up sometime very late, and then I try to do all of the things that I have to do in the morning. And my meetings are only in the afternoon or at night. Mm-hmm. And then I go running or I go swimming or I go biking, there's always some form of workout that has to be in it. I read my Bible because I believe in making sure that you line yourself up with the best values possible. And for me, Christianity is a huge part of my life.
Yep.
And since I work with the Hungry Warrior Academy, it's of course going to be that I will be a coach helping others reach their peak performance. So I need to be that model. I need to model what I preach, and I also need to learn about it. So reading my Bible and making sure that there's not too many cold plunges. I don't believe in all of these routine that take way too long.
Yeah.
You just need to get your workout in, make sure that you move, make sure that you're doing whatever you need to do, and all your tasks are complete. After this, I have my meeting only in the afternoon, and that's a typical day. And then we have our retreats. And when we have our retreats, then it's more really one-on-one, and then I have the guys, because it's an academy for men, to come and learn about how to be strong, valued men. So I live with those people. These men, they learn from me, and then they follow my routine, and then it's very intense because sometimes the guys, they wake up in the middle of the night, or we go do a workout at night, and so that's where it gets a lot more intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is the second part. And then the third part is very often I do events around the world. And right now I am in New Brunswick, and I'm about to swim between New Brunswick and PEI. And it's to raise funds for Brigadoon Camp, which is for chronic illness kids to go to summer camp. So sometimes we do these types of events where I show up, we raise some funds, and we help raise awareness for a good cause. So those are the three parts of my life. And in all of this, I always incorporate my family and my friends. And that's typical days for me.
Sounds like you got a lot of good harmony going on there. A lot of compassion work too that you do, so volunteering. And I assume you're talking about Hungry Warrior Academy. Is that right? Warrior Academy? So
yes,
that's your
organisation
that's your organisation you've started? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an organization it's a nonprofit organization that is for Christian men to learn more about how to be high valued men, to reach their peak performance, and to overcome all of these negative and destructive behavioral addictions.
Uh-huh. Okay.
This would be Yep.
So what is it in you that's really pushed you towards this kind of work? I mean, obviously you've got a big background. You were in military. How long were you in military for?
11 and a half years. Yeah.
And what was the reason for exiting that role?
I wanted to be a present father. Right. And I think it's a lifestyle that works very well for a lot of families, a lot of people. Yeah. And for me, I was always gone from home, and it was a time for me to just be with my son. So I decided to exit the military and do something else. God called me to do something else. So I went into engineering. I went to get my engineering degree. Yeah. And then after I decided, well, this is, I am going to do some triathlons, and I will always try to push the envelope. So that was the reason why I said there's something else behind this. and I've achieved everything that I needed when I was in the military. So at that point, it was time for me to exit.
What's driving you? Like what was part of your background upbringing that's really pushing you to help men in this capacity? Because it's a very compassionate role that you're doing and much needed. Is there anything that's really grounded you into this vocation?
Yeah, I live with a lot of depression. I live with a lot of mental I say mental problems. I think everybody live with those. I think men even more so, because we don't have any organization or nobody to talk to about it. If we talk about it to sometimes, right, some significant others, like our wives, would laugh at us, or we talk to organization. I think a lot of the mental health workers are not even ready for what men have to share. And so the system in place is very difficult for men to navigate. And I talk about it very openly because I don't want these guys, or any men for that matter, to live with the pain that I suffer and not have the tools necessary to overcome these destructive habits. So to me, I do ultra events. I talk about it on podcasts. I talk about the mental health of man on in the newspaper and in interviews. I do events, and we really dive in to what is necessary for a man to overcome these mental problems, these struggles that we face as men. So
Right.
because I don't want men to suffer, or to at least have the tools to overcome these mental struggles, then that's why I do this, is because I don't want them to feel the same way that I do.
So you've personally had struggles with your mental health, depression, things like that?
Yeah, I think everybody does.
Yeah.
It's you live certain things in your life, divorce, rejections. You have to fight to make a lot of money, and you see things through your military service. You live certain things that are, I would say, somewhat outside of the ordinary to keep it kosher within the you live certain things, you experience life. And I wouldn't qualify my life as super. I mean, it is outside of the norm, but it's still a lot of struggles that are major, and then a lot of people would live something very similar. And then sometimes living the same experience is not experienced the same for another person. So they would react differently based on their experience and what they've seen. So I try my best to share about it, be open without sharing too much, but at least to know that these people are not alone. And then I go out and I help them.
Yeah. Yeah. So personally for you, I mean, you're very active. I mean, I assume that helps you with your mental strength, just by continually to challenge yourself and push yourself. Do you sometimes find, like, is there an end to that push and that drive and that need for more? Because I mean, your feats here, like you've done a what do they call it, Epicdeca or decathlon,
Yeah.
is it? That's 10 triathlons.
Yeah, the Epicdeca. Yeah, there's only 3 people in the world that did the Epicdeca, for sure. It's there is an end to it, Lee. It's when your cortisol level is way too high, your body shuts down completely, and then you must stop. At that point, there's a point, a threshold for every human being where they have to stop for a certain period. And for many, I would say that they never reach that stage. They just never reach a stage. It's very difficult nowadays for men to even just get off the couch and do something because they're overworked, or they're in relationships that they shouldn't have been in, or they're in situations where they really just put themselves in the wrong, it's the wrong place. And it's not the wrong time. They should have never been in this situation. And they just have poor behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a threshold for every man. But I would say that the majority of men hover around not starting what they were meant to commence.
Right. And you write that, you've talked about, that's what your book's about, right? Your book is Hunger for More in Life.
Correct. Yes, I talk about all sorts of advice and ways to overcome mental struggles. Half of the book is, and it's based on science. So I studied engineering, our field of engineering, into one program, and I lived through these advice, because the other half of the book is my lived experience of the Epicdeca and all sorts of other races that I use these advice to overcome these mental struggles. And one of them I talked about earlier is the recovery process. And there are multiple ways of recovery. There is active recovery also, but it gives the reader some advice on how to get started, how to reach their goals, and you're not going to be reading about how to think positive and everything's going to be positive in your life. I don't believe in this at all, because despite me thinking positively or trying to all the time, there is moment where you will have to think negatively about a situation, or realistically about a situation. And otherwise, not every situation is positive. You can see the positive into it, but not every situation is a positive, and you just have to see it from a realistic perspective. So you're not going to be reading about advice, think positive, everything's going to be positive. No. You think positive, but not everything is going to be positive in your life. You're going to have struggle, but the idea here is to be hungry, to know that you're going to reach the top of the mountain. You put one foot in front of the other. You break down the goals. There's a step process that I elaborate in the book. And for me, I was using it without any form of process. And it's not until I really sat down and penned that book that I understood what that step process was. And so I was able to teach it to others and mentor other men to follow this step process, which can be very simple to understand, but sometimes so difficult, because we tend to not have this model in our life, because a lot of families have been broken up, and because of that, then we've lost this father figure. Back in the days, it used to be that the father was in the home and you would be able to emulate your father. He might have not been the greatest father for 100% of the time, or everything he did was immaculate. But at least you were having this strong figure in your life. And now we have this. So a lot of families are run by single parents, and sometimes, very often, you're missing the dad in the home. So it's good now to have a model, because this is the first step of learning.
Yeah.
If you look at how the brain function in a way that we copy the people that are in front of us. That's what our courses and everything that we do is working very well, and our success rate right now is unprecedented because we have phenomenal models within the academy where people can look at and say, well, I would like to make some money. Well, there is a guy that does make a lot of money, and now he can show you how to do it. Well, we have a guy who's very fit. Oh, he can show you how to be fit. He can show you how the mindset works. If you want something, then go and get it.
Yeah.
And in a way that you will be able to reflect it as a mirror, so that person will be your model.
Yeah, yeah. It's refreshing to hear because you hear a lot of people like yourself that are these high-performing athletes, significant defeats in life and what you do, and you sort of look at it from an external point of view and go, they're just unbreakable. Like they just must be, some superhuman. But you're sort of saying that, you still have days where you struggle and, you have a process to manage that now, which obviously helps. And that's quite refreshing to hear because you often hear the other side of it where you don't hear of any of the struggles and, the positive. So I think that's really important, particularly for men's health. The men that come into your academy, I think men out there at the moment, and I struggle daily, well, not daily, but some days I have my pains and my struggles and my doubts within the head. But I've got my own processes to deal with that as well. But there's a lot of people out there, I think with the overwhelm of the world right now, we're told to keep doing and being busy. And often that doing and being busy is not in a capacity that relates to our own inner passions or purposes. And it kind of really holds us down. Like you said, like a lot of people, can't even start because they're just too overworked in a field that they're not even happy in. Is that the sort of men that you're bringing in to help?
Correct. Yes, we've seen CEOs of companies, their kids. We've seen many men come through the academy, and we've helped them look at this whole process and see. One guy was he, without mentioning any names, he was struggling and with some form of even addiction, and that was stopping his mental health. And we even did blood tests because that's what we do at the academy. It's not just a training coaching program that you can just find anywhere. The academy uses a lot of science. So we have machines that test for the brain function, and we tested his concentration, level of oxygenation in the brain. We tested his blood for all sorts of biomarkers. So we have labs for this, and then we were able to really direct him, not just in terms of how to set goals, how to set your values, how to become a better person, but really to achieve that peak performance. Because, yes, you're totally right. Everybody has this breaking point. Everybody breaks at some point. I have seen men that never cry in front of anyone just cry so much. I've seen professional athletes just be completely shattered and broken, and somehow in front of the cameras they would never even flinch. You would never even know that these people are hurting. To give you an example of this, I wrote in the newspaper, I did a social experiment. I put in a newspaper, and if you still look online, okay, it was written on the front page. It was written of the article. It was written, I did an interview, and it was written, everyone that does ultra endurance event have some form of destructive or negative mental health problems. That's what I wrote. Okay, I wrote this, and I'm a known person. I'm known around the world for many reasons, including the Epicdeca. And not one single person reached out to me to ask me if my mental health was doing fine. I write it in my book. I write it, and not one single person reached out. Not one. That's to give you scope of it. So I cannot even imagine what one man who's out there struggling must feel, because that person, there's no way anybody is reaching out to them. If a guy like me, no one reaches out to them, it would be highly improbable that this person, someone reach out to them to help.
Well, I guess a guy like you writing that in a newspaper, I'd look at it and go, huh, I mean, you look totally fine to me. Like, how would I think of any different if you're struggling? So what reason would I have to reach out? But I mean, for you to say that, it's quite powerful too.
Well, we're called to look strong, to be this model, to be this figure, to be unshakable. And when the other athlete right beside of us sees that we can be shaken, then they use it to their advantage because they want the top. And that's just in the athletic world. But now if you look at the CEO of a company, if all of a sudden I come into work, or a CEO comes into work, and he talks about his mental health in any form, or he says, I have this form of behavioral addiction, that might impact the company. So now you're throwing people in the streets, because some people might just leave the company. Some people might see it as the company is in trouble. So these CEOs, these high achiever, they're called to reach a level that seems unshakable, that seems that they can't break. But in reality, everyone breaks at some point, everybody. And either you're going to go through taking certain drugs to reach a higher performance, or you're going to reach some form of way to recover even faster, because it's a competitive world.
Yeah.
But you need a way to recover, and in that recovery process, you also need to break. Because when you break, then you understand your limit. Then you can play within your limits. So the breaking point is very important. Reaching your limit is very, very important. And that's why doing sports, training is very important, because it creates these micro fracture and this understanding of how far you can push your body.
Yeah.
If you know how far you can push your body and how far you can, what is that breaking point? If you have that breaking point, then you know that physically or mentally, your body is going to react in this way. If you know you're going to react in a certain way, then you're way more resilient than a lot of other people.
It sounds like you've kept pushing your boundaries, though. Like, it sounds like you've pushed your boundaries. So you're saying that you got to a point where you broke by pushing boundaries?
Yeah. There was one time. So I realized that after the Epicdeca, I couldn't feel anything. I was in this transcendent state of being. I took a cold shower and I couldn't feel anything. There was no sensory. I would not feel anything. And then I took a warm shower, so I put the shower really hot, and I felt all I did was I saw my skin turn really red. So what I did was I went to get a tattoo. And I have I went to a tattoo shop. I talk about it in my book. I went to a tattoo shop in Hawaii, and I said to the guy, tattoo a big sleeve. And he says, well, nobody sits on a big sleeve unless they're on drugs and I said, well, I'm not on drugs, but I'll definitely take that challenge. So I sat there, and for 5.5 hours, he tattooed my whole, just the half part of my arm, and he just sat there and tattooed. And the only time he stopped 3 times, and that was to go to the washroom. So that was one breaking point that I realized how far the body can go. And then I kept on pushing it. So I kept on working out and doing other races. I did Canada Men, did 3-4 World Championship. I did so many other races, a couple of Ironmans in there later on in the same year. And I just kept on going and going. And at one point, my body just said, "Okay, this is enough. Just stop. Like you're just."
All right.
You're destroying yourself. Like there's no point in just going any further. And to me, that was just refreshing because now I understood, okay, now I can reach that part. And then now I can use it to my advantage to reach even further. So all I have to do is just learn something different. So what I did was now I learned a lot about recovery, which I did not know about. I learned about cold plunges, and I became now I'm the vice president of the International Ice Association, Ice Swimming Association in Canada. And I learned so much about how the hormone behaves and how neurotransmitters behave, how the neuroendocrine system operates in the face of these adversities, in the face of having too much training or physical damage to your body, I would say, because that's what you're just creating damage to your body.
So rather than let you... Sorry, you go.
Yeah. Rather than...
I was going to say, rather than letting yourself stop the momentum, so you push yourself to the peak performance in your physical sort of career, and then you just went into other fields to develop further. Because a lot of people would get to that point and go, what else is left? And maybe fall back into some sort of depression.
At first, I thought I would. I really thought I would, because now sport was removed. And it was my coping mechanism. So for me, my coping mechanism was completely shattered. I could not work out. So I had to learn something else. And what I did learn about was I learned about the recovery process. And I learned that the recovery process is even more, it's even more important than the training itself. And that's what I discovered through all of these events, which I haven't talked about on any podcast yet, is that the recovery process is the most important part. As I said earlier, we don't have overtrained athletes. We have athletes that are under-recovered. That's what we have. Yeah. The athletes are not recovering. And the data that I could use to support it would be during this, I don't know if we can say that word on podcast, but the era of well, you can blur it out. The COVID place. Okay, so that time, when everybody was inside of their house, confined to their home, all of the athletes, all of the events were shut down. So a lot of the athletes were on the couch resting, and their coach were telling them to go for a short run. And if they were confined to their house, sometimes some places even had a curfew. So you would not be able to work out at some in some places or at some times and in some groups. So a lot of the athletes recovered in that period, and we can notice a significant change in athlete performance where the times, and I'm just taking Ironman for instance, Ironman times have dramatically changed. And we're talking now, they're in the 7 hours to finish an Ironman, and before they were trying to break the 8 hours, and now they're in the 7 hours. It's significant. So
shows the recovery is important. Yeah,
recovery is huge.
And do you write about that in your book as well?
I do. That's the
Yeah.
last chapter. Chapter 6 is just about recovery. There's all sorts of ways to recover. There is also active recovery. And active recovery, go for a short run, very, very slow, sometimes even just a walk, even a walk with a friend. You're secreting some oxytocin by being with a human being, talking to that person. I say human being because having an AI companion on your phone or on your headset is not the same as having a coach, a mentor, having someone with you, just talking with you, having this form of connection. We need this. And so
Yeah.
that's one advice that I give people. If you can't run, and just start walking. And if you need motivation, use your oxytocin level or increase it by just walking with someone. Or if you can't walk with that special someone because maybe your wife or your girlfriend is afar, then just start walking and walk maybe with them on the phone, or maybe walk with a guy friend on the phone, with someone that will encourage you to at least do some form of physical activity.
I love it, mate. I'm going to stick the book in the show notes here. We'll wrap it up there for today. Hunger for More in Life. A great book. So, guys, if you're listening out there and this is sounding of interest to you, pick it up, have a read. It might just change your life. So, JD Tremblay, I love your work. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. Any final words?
Thank you. Thank you, Lee, for having me.
Now, enjoy your 14-kilometer swim that you're doing this week.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we're doing the swim in 2 days. Hopefully the wind and the weather will cooperate. And if anybody wants to follow us, we're at hungrywarrioracademy.com.
I'll put that in the links as well, guys. So check it out at the Hidden Why Podcast. Until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon. Well, there you have it, my interview with JD Tremblay. Jump online, guys. Let us know what you think. You can follow us on thehiddenwhy.com. That's the website. All the links to JD will be in the show notes there for episode 1131. And you can follow us on socials as well. And to support the show, wherever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you like and follow us there. We also do launch most interviews as a video on YouTube, so you can follow our channel there as well if you prefer video format. And if you're looking for more meaning, more purpose in life, or if you're not feeling in sync or in alignment, I'd love to help you on that journey. I've been there many years ago. That's why this podcast exists. Searching for meaning, searching for a deeper level of alignment with myself and where I really want to pursue. And that's helped me to create a life whereby I can live more fully, have more meaning, and find more joy. So I would love to help you on that journey as well, to reach out. I coach and mentor people here at the NY as well. Other than that, guys, have a great week ahead until the next episode. See you soon.